That's me, 13 years old, denim jacket, denim jeans, a legendary mullet, looking way more confident than I actually was. And little did I know that that was a Canadian tuxedo. 38 years ago, I landed in Canada, and nothing about it went the way I pictured it. So I grew up on a small farm in Norway. We had, I believe it was only about 40 acres, so we did some grain. We had about 1,500 chickens, and that was life. That was, roaming around there, going fishing, playing in the forest, playing lots of soccer. My dad worked a full-time job at a telecommunications company, and we had just taken over the farm from my grandmother. When I was watching the Olympics in Norway, that was my introduction to Calgary. And when I was watching ski jumping, they were actually explaining that COP was in the middle of the prairies. So when we moved into Coach Hill wasn't that far from COP. And to think that that was in the middle of the prairies, it was like, no, that's not the case. But my elementary school was clearly a smaller school. We had an older building, and then there was a new expansion that they had done that looked more like a mountain chalet that you would find in Canmore. Now, moving into Coach Hill, the elementary school that I went to was Vincent Massey, down on 45th Street. I believe that was a school with about 400 students, hallways and lockers everywhere. Schools didn't look like that in Norway. Even comments about, going to school where there's bars on the windows. Clearly those bars are there to prevent vandalism, but we didn't have that at my school in Norway. And Westbrook Mall, that was the biggest mall that I'd ever seen. The biggest mall that I had been to in Norway was a commute that was about 45 minutes away from where I grew up, and I think it had like 40 or 50 stores. So Westbrook Mall, with a little over 100 stores, it was massive back in the Woolco days, which is now where the Walmart is. And looking back, even in Norway, I wasn't a shy kid. I had many friends, but when you move to a new country or a new city, and language doesn't come easy, especially a different language, and when nothing around you feels familiar, you don't have any friends, you have to make all new friends, you pull back. You become quieter than you actually are, because I believe you're a little shy. One thing that I struggled with as well, I remember, is just like, I was just so concerned that we were different because we didn't speak English. My parents would speak Norwegian to me, and I didn't want people to hear that we would speak a different language. I didn't want to be labeled as different. There were moments of being bullied. I remember I bought a skateboard at the San Francisco in Westbrook Mall, and some kids over in Westgate bullied me and took my skateboard. But these are things that kids kind of go through, and I was very fortunate to have, Greg, who was in my grade 7 class, and Patrick. Greg was someone who helped me first with English in our homeroom with Miss Lennon, and then Patrick and Patrick's mom helped me with a ton of homework, with a ton of English. They didn't have big ESL programs back then. I believe it was me and one other student that would get put into the ESL classes, where we got whisked away from the general class just to get some help with English. Pretty tough indeed. But I look back on all of that, 38 years later, that kid is still in my head. I still second guess the words that I use. I think about my pronunciation of every word. Am I using the right word? Did I pronounce it clearly? And a few years ago, it was a day where I had Zoom calls, and I was on one. Doorbell rings, dog is barking, and I run to answer the door, and somebody shows up there with a ball cap, a mask, and shades, kind of covering up their face, to say the least. And there's a delivery of roses, all wrapped up in plastic. I closed the door and I'm like, what's that smell? I smell kind of chemically. Well, they're all painted black. And with a card making fun of my English. And it was from competitors in my own industry. And I'm not kidding. You know what that told me? That I was doing something right. You know, we didn't come to Canada to escape something. We came here to experience something new. And watching my parents leave everything comfortable for complete uncertainty, then struggle and rebuild anyway, that shaped me more than anything else. Like I honestly get emotional around it. Like even yesterday, Anna was sharing some of their family journey and sharing some of the struggles that her oldest son had. I got all teary-eyed and I could relate to all of that. You know, when you're young, the hard parts feel hard, like really hard. And when you get older and a little bit wiser, you start to see the beauty in all those challenges. Because every struggle shapes you into who you become. That's not something that you understand in a moment. It's something that you understand years later, and in my case, nearly 40 years later, standing in it with gratitude. So whenever you start something new, whether that is a move, a new career, a new business, a new chapter that you didn't choose, you find a way to make it work, because failure was never really an option. And I'm forever grateful for my parents for having the courage to go first. And if you got a story like this, the chapter where you didn't know if it was going to work, drop it in the comments. I'll read them all. Hit the subscribe if you want to hear more of these. I'll see you next time.